So it seems Microsoft is still at it with their preview programs and their showcases, and it looks like they're going to have a partner preview. So this isn't first party content, this is third party content coming to Xbox, and it's slated to be landing in November. Hopefully, this lands on a Tuesday or Thursday so I can actually coincide it and time it in line with my actual stream. Otherwise, we'll be doing a double stream on the day where it actually lands. But on top of that, tomorrow, Tuesday, or I guess today, as it is now for the UK, there is going to be an Idea Xbox event. Now, this starts a little earlier in the day, but we will be covering this in full force for the actual stream. So if you don't get a chance to watch it during the day, don't worry, we'll be covering it on my channel. So feel free to stop by the stream later on that evening. So that's this stuff out the way. I wanted to now move over to this. So there was a Windows Central report, which we'll get to in just a sec, but these are kind of just dumbing it down and giving the bullet points. And there's a couple of things that Jess said in his article, which I want to kind of get into a little more nitty gritty. But the news is that there's going to be no multiplayer paywall. This essentially gets rid of Xbox Live entirely. Now, Xbox Live is a multi-million, multi-billion pound, service that actually brings in a lot of money. If you don't have the multiplayer paywall, people, especially those on the Xbox Live Core, will just no longer use it. In fact, Core has no reason to exist. But there's also a double-edged sword to this, because this is supposed to be for the next generation console, and with that, it's going to be for the Windows side of things. But we do know that the console itself, will feature a way for you to play your series games, and any game that was backwards compatible on the series machine will be playable. And those games, in theory, should require Xbox Live. So, how this is actually going to pan out is going to be interesting, because Microsoft, who recently changed the tiers and everything, and kind of has almost headed the PC version of Game Pass into oblivion, has just undergone a radical change. And maybe these radical changes in the pricing, especially for Ultimate, was for this reason. But what happens if people just want to get the PC version and not the console? Is that going to change? Where is a cloud only tier? But anyway, they say that it's supposed to feel like a traditional console, and it will be natively running games currently available on the Xbox Series, etc., as well as backwards compatible titles, which is what we said. Next, Xbox will run full bore Windows, which we already know, because let's face it, the Xbox Ally X is pretty much a beta test for the next Xbox OS, the next Xbox overlay. So it's still got teething problems. It's not perfect. And they've got now a year to get it right. So that's what they're going to be working on, and making sure that it's right for the big screen, with a TV optimized console style experience layered on top. Xbox console from a will differ from a traditional Windows PC, as it will feel like a traditional console out of the box. Now, they need to be able to do this with one click of a button to do all that Windows stuff automatically without you having to go into Windows. This is something that they need to get right. A script can do this, and that is no problem, but they do need to get this right. And a simple script can basically go into it and do all your Windows updates for you that you need, and you're done. But time will tell if they actually go down that route. I can understand that can also break, because scripts are prone to break, but that seems like the logical way to do this. That it will feel like a traditional console out of the box. Experience will be similar to what you get today on a console, and if you choose, you can remain fully inside the Xbox ecosystem, never touching Windows itself. And that is going to be the key for this. Now, I also think and genuinely believe that what they should do is offer that service to the series consoles as well. They're pretty much a PC anyway, and have it so you can create a partition on the drive so you can actually install Windows on there if you want to, and run things that way. For those people that want extra storage, you can go with the 2 TB version or buy external storage. It does support SSD external storage for other platforms, and Windows will perfectly fine use that stuff. So they can, in theory, utilize the series boxes as well, by providing them that choice and giving them some life. But the key question here is, of course, this one over here, this no paywall uh multiplayer paywall, which essentially is Xbox Live. Now you've got MBG over here because he can't. It'll be a miracle if he actually talks about PlayStation, but he openly said that if Xbox goes, his channel will die. So he's doing what he said, and at least he's being consistent. High and expensive. Well, we already know it's going to be high end and premium. Sarah Bond already said this. No paywall multiplayer will offer a console UI, but is a full Windows device. Will offer Steam and access to all Steam games as well as other storefronts. Backwards compatible, and this is the one over here. Like I said with Dragon as well. This is the key one over here that's going to get Xbox fans excited. But it's going to be interesting to see how this all plans out. And of course, then we have Jez's article, and this is the section here that actually kind of brings it all together, right? So it says one question is still being worked out at Microsoft revolves around Game Pass. Right now, PC Game Pass gets all day one Xbox games, including Call of Duty, for much cheaper than Xbox Game Pass Ultimate on console. If the next Xbox is a PC, am I supposed to be using PC Game Pass there instead of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate? So, with the Windows side of things, the games on Steam, GOG, and wherever are clearly going to not require Xbox Live. But will now the Xbox Live be something that is required only for the Xbox Series stuff? It kind of feels counterproductive to a certain degree, right? It doesn't make sense. This whole system doesn't make sense. What they should have done right now is what they should have, especially when they've done the revamp. And this is why I've constantly said that it really feels like every day that Microsoft goes into the office, there is someone there that turns around and goes, "Hey, I've got a bright idea." And then they go with the idea. It's almost like the head of Google is running this because that's how Google run their business. They come up with a great idea. They go, "This is cool." And then they get bored and they move on to another idea and leave that idea in the thing. They've literally just changed the structure of Game Pass. Changing it again would be crazy. But what they should have done is had a PC Game Pass, console Game Pass, and an Ultimate Game Pass. And the Ultimate combines both console and PC together and gives you both of them at once at a cheaper rate than buying both of these separately. Right? That would have been the logical approach. That would have been so much better. But instead, they've decided to go with that core, essentials, premium, blah, 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 and ultimate. And that's kind of muddied the water now. And if this, with the direction that they're going in, and they kind of knew where they're going for a long time, it's it's a good question on how they're going to handle Game Pass. Because if they're removing the paywall, is it just for the PC side of things? And let's face it, at some point, with these games all being played anywhere anyway, why not just play it on the PC side and not use Window and not use require Xbox Live? Like if I get Call of Duty, I don't need online multiplayer. If I buy it outright, that is. Obviously, if I get it for Game Pass, that's different. That's going to have its own thing anyway. But if I just bought it outright, I won't need to use it because I can just use the Play Anywhere, run it off the Windows side, and boom, Bob's your uncle. I'm playing Call of Duty without having to pay for Xbox Live. It's a little weird, right? They've put themselves in a really, really weird spot here. But it's, I don't really see. I mean, obviously, the clear way to do this is what I said to separate it. Obviously, they're not going to do that because they've just restructured. But this is Microsoft. I expect anything from them. Anyway, it reads, if the next Xbox is a PC, am I supposed to be using Game Pass PC there instead of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate? It's a good question. Right now, I'm told the current plan is for the next Xbox specifically to have no paywall for multiplayer. That means that the Series consoles, the Series S and the X, will have a paywall for multiplayer. But will that paywall for multiplayer apply to the next generation console? Or will it just be if you want to play your Series games? And at that point, how's the pricing going to be? It's really weird because you could just get PC Game Pass there and you'd be happy, right? Because it is going to encompass Play Anywhere. So at that point, you could technically play your console games as well because they get everything and it is Play Anywhere. Play Anywhere is Play Anywhere. You can't just restrict it to PC or console. It is Play Anywhere. So I really don't know how they're going to go about this. This requires them to completely restructure how Game Pass works. And maybe that's why the price went up. I'm not saying I'm not trying to justify it, but maybe this is why they decided to increase the price of Game Pass with this in mind. So thinking forward, when this change actually happens, they won't need to change the price again. But everyone knows the price is going to go up again. That's how subscriptions work, right? It would take it wouldn't make a lick of sense for a PC to have paid multiplayer, particularly since it would create a strong incentive for players to simply install Steam instead of use the Xbox ecosystem on that device for online games. I mean, technically, you could just use the PC Game Pass version as well, right? If you buy the game on the PC's Game Pass side, or I mean, again, you can buy it on Steam, but if you bought it on the PC Xbox app, you technically still wouldn't need Xbox Live to run it because you're running it through PC. You're not running the console version. It remains to be seen if that plan actually plays out into reality, though, because there's just so much that doesn't make sense. There's so much mess that they've put themselves into here in terms of how this is going to be worked out. It's just silly the position that they've put themselves into. And this is why I said earlier, it almost feels like every day when they go in, they decide that they're going to change the strategy. It's like Monday there's a strategy, then Tuesday they change the strategy, then Wednesday they change the strategy, and so forth. There doesn't seem to be a clear path that they're walking down. What I expect we could see is PC Game Pass being rebranded somehow. On the Xbox Game Pass website, PC Game Pass is de emphasized and almost hidden away underneath the three main tiers. It is. You actually have to go searching for the PC Game Pass now because Microsoft is trying to just kind of get rid of it. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this deprecated in the future. I mean, that's what they want. Given the Xbox Game Pass Standard and Premium both now include some PC games, the idea of a per device Game Pass doesn't make a huge amount of sense in a universe where Xbox consoles and PC merge. But we'll have to wait and see. Well, I mean, also, the next Xbox is pretty much more or less a PC. When they're developing games, will they develop them for the Xbox Series consoles? That's a big question. If they're developing them for the Xbox app, I suspect they will do at least for the Series X, and the Series S will remain as a cloud machine. There's no way that they're going to still support the Series S. That's out of the question. But they are going to potentially support the Series X and do that. But third party publishers, they may not choose to do that because now they can just say, hey, we don't need to make it for Xbox specifically. We can just make it on Steam and they can pick up that game from Steam because that machine now allows it and they've got the option to do that. So I feel like we're going to see this is going to be really, really tricky in how they do this. And obviously, in November, they've got a partner event with a lot of games coming with Play Anywhere emphasized. So that's definitely going to be aimed at the PC app, obviously. But how this actually works out and how it plays out is anyone's guess. It's kind of like a tangled mess at the moment with how they're going to approach this because the fact that they've only recently done this and now they're going for this hybrid system where they kind of want the best of both worlds. They want to support your back catalog, which is great, by the way, but also want to be a PC at the same time and open up way more options, being consumer friendly to provide you with more games and more options. The whole option about the whole paywall comes into question. Is it only going to apply to the PC side and not the console side? But what if I want to get the PC Game Pass and I don't care about the console side? I've got those games on console. I'll just play them offline or whatever they are on the thing. And, the games I bought, I can still play. And anything that I want to play that's essentially play anywhere, I can play through my Xbox PC app that I own and I won't need it. So is that the option they're going to go with? That seems like the most logical thing, but that would lose them a hell of a lot of money. And as we've seen with Amy Hood, that's one thing that they don't want to do. They want to hit that 30% margin. Right now, they're at 15% and it's growing. They can probably hit about 18 to 20% by the end of the year if sales are good. So I don't know, folks. It's an interesting time. It's an interesting take. We've always known that they're potentially looking at, kind of removing the paywall. But by the staggered kind of hybrid system, it does create a mess because of where they are now and the fact that they've restructured, and it leaves PC Game Pass in the limbo. Personally, I think they should have a cloud tier, PC tier, console tier, everything tier. And maybe if you want the PC with cloud or console with cloud, then you can add that as a bolt on at a cheaper price. But time will tell, man. Time will tell. But, I'm excited for the next generation console. I want to see what it is because it's exciting and it's something new, it's something out of the ordinary, and I want to see where it's going. But people are saying that they're okay with it not changing in price. Well, essentially, Game Pass at that point will have devalued itself, right? Because if you don't need the paywall anymore, it shouldn't be at $30. Now, obviously, I doubt they'll ever reduce the price, and this is why I reckon they need to restructure it again. But if they're removing the Game Pass Xbox Live component, then technically they are removing value from there, so they would need to replace that value with something else. Time will tell how they approach that, but yeah, let's just say this isn't going to be easy as black and white. There's going to be a lot of gray here, and they're going to have to kind of find the perfect system and not screw this up. They're really only going to get one chance at this. Anyway, folks, that's the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. We are trying to hit 10,000 subs. You guys can make me hit that goal. I really appreciate it. If you are enjoying the content, are a returning viewer, please do consider hitting that like, subscribe, and hitting that bell to stay up to date with all content I release. If you're watching this on mobile, don't forget to hit that hype. It's very much appreciated. All right, folks, that's it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Remain legend.